Well, oh well, how did my day go? Well, it was a long day, very long. But in other news, I'm almost done with Almost Perfect. And I could relate to this book. At first, it really was not drawing me in. And you guys are going to be shocked by this. But you know my rule, by the first 50 pages, if I'm not drawn in, I'm changing books. Something told me to stay with it. And I'm so glad I did. Because by the time we got up in the hundreds, oh goodness, where is it at? It started changing for me. And I was like, this guy's a cowboy Casanova. He's got all these women panting after him, but yet he's going after his childhood sweetheart. Now, his childhood sweetheart has this complex where she thinks she's not enough, that she's going to come in second place to either the vixen, who's hot on his trail, or the woman who was his high school sweetheart, because she was just a best friend to him in high school, not his actual sweetheart in high school. So it's kind of a tale that just captures your heart, because there's two kids involved because his sister has passed away. So you're sitting there and you're going, how's this going to go, And it's drawn me in so much that I'm amazed I'm not finishing the last 20 pages tomorrow, but I guess I'm giving myself something to look forward to. I have been a busy beaver. I have baked 2 batches of brownies. I have done dishes, laundry, but I just haven't wanted to watch TV tonight. I watched a little bit of the Bella Twins, but frankly, when she's not with John Cena, Nikki Bella I'm talking about, and the way Bree's treating Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, it's just, I'm like, there's just no words. Those two just, I used to think they were down to earth, but after watching some of this stuff, they're not down to earth, and I don't know why these guys picked these women to be with them other than maybe their money. It's sad. But anyway, and little Birdie, oh goodness, she's so too cute. And now to think that they're going to flood the world with more Bellas, I don't know if we're ready for that. Um, anyway, back to what I was going to say. As you all might have witnessed earlier today, it's no secret that I'm very passionate. I feel like that when I made a vote, my vote mattered. My vote counted, and it was my voice. And at 2016, it was clearly behind J.B. Pritzker. That has not changed. It's just like all you trumpets who still believe in the horn blower, even though I don't know why. I have taken a mature approach, and friends and family, God bless you, because, I don't speak up quite as much as I should, and usually that's horrible on me. And when I see you all post something that makes me want to scream or makes me want to put on there, know your facts, and please don't forget that big map that your president had showing all the dates and when each state should reopen, because if you clearly remember that, clearly it said mid-May or to late May and not before. So honestly, and I watched World News Now last night, they had this EMT on there out of Chicago, and the EMT said if they could see what we see on a daily basis, they wouldn't even think about wanting the country reopened, or something to that effect. But it was in the verbiage, And you know what blows my mind? And, you can think back now, and you can think about how the doctors out there at Sarah Brush and Dry didn't know what Grandma had. And at one point threw the stethoscope down at Grandma's feet and got into Grandpa's face, almost came to blows with him. And I don't even know why that man's still out there at Sarah Bush, but I got the doctor book the other day, and he's still a hospitalist out there. God help us all, and please don't ever let me get sick. Take me to Paris, Illinois, is all I'm saying, because that's where Dr. Horvat is. But anyway, what I'm saying to you right now is this. They could not figure out what she had at Sarah Bush. And they were just going to ship her back to Mattoon Healthcare. and they couldn't come up with a name for it, which to me was very unprofessional, the whole hospitalist was unprofessional, from his behavior, from patient to relatives of the patient. He was just out of line. That's why we took her to Carl. Now, Carl did act, well, they didn't act, they did care more than Sarah Bush. I will say they went the extra mile where they didn't at Sarah Bush. And took an awful long time for those EMTs to arrive up there at Sarah Bush, but can't change that now. Anyway, I'm still bitter. Very bitter. There's some things that you never forget. And some moments that you never forget. Okay? And I'm going to try and paint this picture for you. And I really hope that this hits home for all of those out there who wants Illinois open. Because I believe, as Mr. Pritzker said, that the coronavirus has been around a lot longer than is known. And he said something to that effect. It's not word for word, but he did say something to that effect. And it was in the news on my Facebook. What I'm going to tell you is her actions leading up to her hospitalization, and then also what we had to do in order to visit her on a day-to-day basis, in case you all forgot. Because on her death certificate, it was she had an illness that they could not cure with a flu shot. And it's on there. They could not cure it with a flu shot. And yes, of course, they put on there heart failure or something like that. But obviously, it was part corona because they couldn't kill the virus. They didn't know how to do it. And it puzzled the greatest of minds at Champaign-Urbana to the smallest of minds at Sarah Bush. But what I'm saying is this. Her actions were lethargic. She had a headache. She didn't want to eat. We tried to get her to have a boost. That same day, she had an emergency doctor appointment. She said she didn't know how she made it outside the house. On the way before going down the stairs, she was sitting here at the table with her head down, complaining about her head pain, complaining about her breathing. And then we went to going out by the stove, and she said these eerie words that I'll never forget because they're seated in my mind. Every time I'm around the stove, it's something that creeps me out. And she said, I'll never be back here again. And you know how we say things at that time because we don't take it for gospel. And this is why I always say, when you say something, you don't know when your last moment is, so you need to really think about what you say. And I said, oh, that's crazy talk. No, Donna, I'm serious. I just took it as crazy talk. We exited the house, went to the emergency doctor appointment. Remember? The emergency room. The many days spent at Sarah Bush before we went back to the rehab center where I disagree with that stay too. They didn't do anything right the second time. Then back to Sarah Bush, where we didn't have to put on the gloves, the mask, and the gown. But the moment we went into Carlism, they took it more serious because it was something they couldn't kill with the flu shot. And I really hope this reaches all those ears out there. This is why those masks are important to me. Okay? Her fighting spirit, if she could have told those doctors to get off their duff and make her well, she would have. I can still see the anguish in her eyes, the fight in her eyes until the last few days. And, when she had that phone call from Becky Hobson, she was crying. You could just feel like your heart was being ripped out of your chest because she wanted to say something so bad, but she couldn't. What I'm trying to tell you is, don't just take this coronavirus as a fluff piece. Because when you have to gear up to go in to see your loved one, which now they probably wouldn't allow, now they would have probably restricted everybody from her room. So, small favors, I guess. But I look back and I see how sick we were after we had visited her that time, and they had give us the news that they didn't see any hope. And me and Grandpa came down with the worst case of what they thought was respiratory infection / bronchitis / they didn't really know. Why? Because they're all Sarah Bush doctors. And here we are with gloves on, robe wearing, mask on. So if you think those masks are just a joke, you ask yourself, is it just a joke to see your family member in a hospital bed like that? I think not. You ask yourself now, can you go to somebody's funeral like you used to be able to, or is it only restricted to 10 people? You ask yourself now if you want to be next. While you're all fighting this war with what you think is the government, let me tell you something. Until you've been there, you don't know. And honestly, I think there's a lot of people out there with wanting to make a name for themselves in the political arena more than they care about you and me, the common folk people. Think about that tonight. Think on that real hard. I guarantee you, if they would have known then what they know now, maybe my grandma would still be here today. Maybe they would have had a name instead of just a virus they couldn't name. And, you make fun of these people wearing masks. But if you see someone struggling to breathe, if you see someone who doesn't want to eat, who used to eat meatloaf, mashed potatoes and gravy, fried apples, and she would have all kinds of snacks, I guarantee you would take it to heart. Why do I fight so passionately? Maybe because I don't want anyone else to experience it. I feel like we did. Grandpa and I were lucky to come out the other side. But for those who don't, be a voice that can fight for the right to breathe. Be a voice that can fight for the right not to give an infection to someone else. Be a voice who is responsible, who cares about the United States as a whole rather than just yourself. Be a voice who isn't selfish and self-centered. Be a voice. United we stand, divided we fall. And that's not only as Illinois, but every single state in all of our United States. I see Trump as the leader, supposedly, notice the quotes, of the free world, yet he didn't have the gumption to open up the countries. He gave that power to the governors. All of this, open the world up, open the state up. I guarantee you, you don't know what it's like to see a loved one in that state, in that form. You hope you never do. You don't know. And most importantly, don't take a single breath for granted. Stay safe, stay well. And I can't tell you enough how you are fluffing all this off about not wearing a mask, about not being responsible, that there's nothing to be responsible. It's all a big hoax, right? It's all a big fakeism or whatever you want to call it. It's not. Don't take the chance. It's not worth your life. Be responsible. Do the right thing. Put a mask on May 1st. Do your best to stay at home. I know it's cabin fever. I know you're all wanting to go out there and say summer's here, yada, yada, yada. But is it worth partying now to pay for it later? Is it worth having more than a party of 10 to say that you have a party? Most importantly, is it worth opening up your nearest bar so you can go get a drink? Maybe cheat on your spouse or your fiance or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, and you're out there and you really don't care. Why? Because you got a beer and you're going to get drunk on a Friday, Saturday night, right? That's what you're all fighting for, let's be honest. It's not because you want to go to the Walmart at 10 o'clock at night. It's not because you want to go to Cracker Barrel and sit down in the living room. You're fighting because you want your beer. Big freaking deal. Buy a 24-pack, sit at home, and knock yourself out senseless. That's what I have to say to you. I honestly don't know why you want to get so fired up over having a stupid bar open when that entertainment is just not even entertainment. Yes, it would be nice to go back to what we had before, but will we ever get back to that again? No. There's going to be new laws, new regulations, and don't you blame it on Pritzker. There's going to be 6 feet apart on tables, and you think that's not happening around the world? Get a clue, it is. There's going to be so many things that these restaurants have to do in order to reopen. Now, if you think that that's not true, go to the Department of Health. I bet you'll get education you never thought you'd get in a lifetime. Why? Because you know it all, right? That's why I have said on my Facebook, got to get my temper down. Right now, anybody posting anything against the governor, we can be friends, but don't dare expect me to follow you. I will unfollow you, but be your friend. And it's just because right now we disagree on the politics. Will that change in the future? I hope. But in order to do that, a lot of things would have to change. So that's where I stand with that. Because I'm all in for Illinois. Are you? With that being said, I'm going to get myself together, sing a song, and then I'm going to go work out.